Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets. Interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I'm your host, Kim Wanup. Happy 22! I know you're not supposed to say, Happy New Year after, the first week of January, but, whatever. Happy New Year. I hope you survived Omicron and are, healthy and safe and listening to this podcast and excited. I got a good one for you. I've got the crew from live from a studio audience. The Facts of Life and Diff'erent Strokes, Production Designer Steve Olson, set decorator Jerie Kelter, and art director Lydon. And it's a good one. It's funny and such great talent between the three of them and Jerie Kelter. That's all you gotta say. I mean, need I say more? I wanted to maybe throw out a little suggestion to you. I do a lot of audiobooks, and because I have an hour and a half commute every day, it's awesome. And I listened to this book called At Home by Bill Bryson, and his book goes quickly kind of through the history of, let's say he starts with, the front door, and then he goes into the kitchen or the hallway, and all of these little tidbits of information of why things are called things like room and board, because boards used to be just on, people would rent space and then they would have a board on their lap, that's where they would eat, and why they're called borders and things like that. It's why do the chimneys or the bricks that were used in chimneys, and it was really fascinating. And now my husband's listening to it, so I'm kind of listening to it again. Loved it. The author also has a book called The Body, in which he does the same sort of little snippets about your whole body, your brain, your circulatory system, your eyes, your ears, and all these little tidbits. It's just a really good read. But the at-home one for designers and decorators and everything, I thought was really interesting, and I would recommend it to everyone. So go read that. Go listen to that. That's a good one. At Home by Bill Bryson. And he narrates it, and his voice is kind of weird, but I like it. I liked his voice. Really can't imagine anybody else reading that type of book. But yeah, good one. I've been watching a tad bit more TV because I'm done with my show. I'm done with the second season of Rutherford Falls with production designer Kathleen Wadowski. It's cute. It's a cute little show on Peacock. I don't know when season 2 is going to air, but it's 8 episodes. It's quick, right? I started that in October, and I'm done. So, good experience, and always working on the Universal a lot is a little bit exciting, and kind of feels like a little base of a home now, since I've done Good Place there and now this. So, yeah. It was nice to be back. The commute was awful for me, but it was nice to be back on the lot. And so, yeah. I love Afterlife on Netflix. I don't know if anybody else is a Ricky Gervais fan, but not quite design-wise, but the show is good. It's very dark humor. I think it's the last season of Ozark, the half season. We paced ourselves. Took us a week. Really good. And then we just started watching Yellowstone, which I was in, and now we're episode 7 or 8, and it's the production value is really good. The design, they spent some coin on this, but it's kind of a soap opera. I don't know, I'm all of a sudden I'm expecting aliens to show up or something, and I love me a Kevin Costner, but I don't know. I might bail on it, or at least put it on back burner. Yeah, so also in films, been trying to catch up on those too. The Tender Bar. who the production designer, Kalina Ivanov, I have a previous episode with her, so if you want to hear a little bit about the Tender Bar, she was either starting it or filming it at the time, so she does talk a little bit about that. I thought The Power of the Dog was a really good film. It surprised me. I didn't really know what it was about, and I thought it was pretty good. House of Gucci looks really good. The costumes, the hair, and all that. I mean, Pacino. I don't know. I liked it. I liked the book, and I liked the movie. I've watched French Dispatch, Dune. You know, I'm not into Dune, but I can appreciate those sets and everything that took to get done. That was a big one. What I do love is I love me some Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I just thought that the way they pay tribute to the original Ghostbusters and that script was really good, and the sets are great. So I really enjoyed that. That's my best picture of 2021. And award season is upon us. The SDSA Awards, the nominations and the voting is open. So get on that for nominations. It's open till 2/11. If you're an SDSA member, you can vote. The ADG Awards voting is now open till March 3rd, which is why I'm talking with the production designer and crew of Live at a Studio Audience on this episode. And I don't really know how these films and TV shows can really compete with each other anymore, because everything's so good in its own capsule, and everything is, you just know everyone just busted ass to get all this done. I can't really look at a lot of things that are a lot of shows or films that I feel like, oh, that was just handed to them. You know, everyone from the designer down, the graphics, the lead man, everyone's busting ass to get everything done now. And we've all done it. All of these pieces, I think, mostly have been done during COVID. So that layer that has been put on to these productions that are now into award season, I just think everyone should get an award. I just think it's a lot. I think we've all been put through a lot, and I don't know, getting a little cynical, I guess. Instead of one winner, everyone should get an award. I actually don't believe in that, so I don't know. But yeah, so if you are a voter in the SDSA or ADG, get in there and get your votes in. In this episode, I speak with production designer Steve Olson, set decorator Jerie Kelter, and art director Raph Lydon. Full disclosure, I had contacted Steve and suggested adding Jerie because I'm friends with Jerie, and I've been trying to get her on for a while, and we're always busy, and she's always working, and I could spend hours talking to Jerie because she's Jerie Kelter. You would learn so much from her. And she's been around for a while, and she just knows things. She's fantastic. So as I'm about to set up this interview, I realized that I didn't ask the art director to be included, and I'm friends with Raph. I don't know. I'm just disclosing that because I felt like an asshole, and I say it. We say it, and you hear that we add him in the middle of this podcast. So I forgot about my friend, and I hope he forgives me. That's all I know. I don't know. Blame mommy set decorator brain. I don't know. So I'm embarrassed about that, but we'll get over it. I'll buy him a drink. Steve Olson has 5 Emmys and 5 ADG awards and 25 nominations to boot. He started in theater and moved to live programming and then multicam. He has done shows like The Oscars, Titus, How I Met Your Mother, Superior Donuts, The Cool Kids, and so many other multicams. And just a really nice guy. I've never really heard anything really bad about him. That's cool. Super nice. And he gets to work with my favorite people like Jerie Kelter. So Jerie, Jerie Kelter is a set decorator with I think, some of the best, like, pop culture films under her belt. Break Into Electric Boogaloo. She's going to kill me. Moving Violations. Come on, Richard Pryor. Once Bitten, Jim Carrey. Friday the 13th, Part 4. That was a good one. The rest of them, Weekend at Bernie's. Hot Shots. And then Part 2. She did Body of Evidence, Airheads, Metro. And then she started her TV career. Sullivan and Sons, Last Man Standing, Rules of Engagements, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And she just keeps ticking. She owns a prop house. She's a mom. I mean, she has it all. She is amazing and really nice and sweet. Raph is Irish and has a background working with, like, Roger Corman I never knew about and came to Los Angeles. He's worked on shows like The Biggest Loser, Baby Daddy, Atypical, Saved by the Bell reboot. So these three are now nominated for the ADG Award for their work on Live in Front of a Studio Audience, The Facts of Life, and Diff'rent Strokes. It's really great to hear how these three collaborated to make these iconic sets come back to life. From the linoleum floors to the moldings to matching furniture to a T, these three and their crews brought us to the back in the day styles of these hit shows that we always remember. I hope you enjoy. Yeah. You were nominated twice in the same year for Emmys and beat yourself, right?
I don't
Wait, I have it.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I
know
do.
I was probably nominated twice in the same. Because it was for How I Met Your Mother and the Oscars.
Yes. So
Yeah.
you were, you were nominated.
And that was for the pilot of How I Met Your Mother, and that won over the Oscars, which is kind of embarrassing because that's my mentor, Roy. And but you won for the Oscars, right? Winner. I mean, because maybe we won for the Oscars too, because it's in a different category.
Now listen, since you want to jump right into your awards, I see how this is going to go.
You brought it up.
You've been nominated 14 times for the Emmys. You've won 3, 4, 5. I mean, you won consecutively in the 1 year, which was, like, unbelievable. You won...
On How I Met Your Mother, we won for the first 4 years of the show.
2006 through 2009, you won. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 10 Emmys?
No. I have 5 Emmys, and I have 5 Art Directors Guild awards.
Oh, maybe that's... I'm sorry, I went to ADG. I skipped there.
Yeah.
You have 5 and 5. Well, you got 2 pair. You got a pair. 10 pairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he should give us some, right, Kimberly?
Yeah. That damn ADG always eludes me. You've been nominated 20 times.
Yeah. Well,
and 5 wins.
I think.
It's hard.
This one makes 21, but
21.
Yeah, and I've been in the ADG 22 years, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe it's 23 now.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess I joined in 1998. I was here. I had been here a year, and I was doing the Oscars as art director. And they said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm art directing the Oscars." And they go, "You got to join the union." I'm like, "Thank you. I've been trying to." That was when they used to be kind of really tight and closed.
Right.
And so it was really hard to get in. And then the leadership changed, and they just reached out. They said, "You got to join, and if you don't join right now, we're going to blacklist you." So I joined. That was seriously what they said. We're going to make.
Oh, I believe it. I absolutely believe it.
Like,
I joined and then and gave them all the money, and then I said, "I don't actually want to do this anymore. Can I get my money back?" And they were like, "No. So we'll hold it for a year, but you can't have your money back."
Oh, wow.
I don't know. Because I got in and I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm finally going to get to work. I'm finally going to get hired. And then I was like, I want to decorate. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to. So, yeah. So I'll hold it over them anytime I ever want to get back in. Like, I already gave you money. But.
Is it a lot of money?
It was like $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it was back in the late 90s, or what?
Yeah.
When did you...
I was like, it was like 2005, I think, 2004.
Yeah. I think it's a lot more now.
Yeah.
I think they raised it.
It's like $8,500 for decorators. Almost 9,000, I think, to get into 44.
That's awful.
I
When
know.
I joined, it was like five, which was enormous. Like
Yeah, like
5 years ago.
When you were like, but it was before I, owned a house and I could barely afford a car, and I'm like, oh, where am I going to get $5,000?
I begged them. I said, I don't have it. Can I play within like the next 6 months? And they were like, no. And I went and I cried.
Did it work?
And it worked. They let me pay over the next couple months, and thank God Paul Aarons, I think, was the guy who helped me out there. So
Who you cried for?
I cried, and I told him I was like, look, my whole family's union, like, I want to get into this, like, whatever, get me in so I can work. And it worked. I got in. Now I'm paying and paying and paying. And I still have to fight to get paid, so it's cool.
You're not still in the ADG, are you? Are
No.
you still paying your dues? Oh.
No, I was only in it that 1 year
Okay.
ish. I wasn't even, it was like less than a year, and I was like, I don't actually and they were like, no. We'll hold your money and your days for a year, because you have to have so many days per year to be eligible for the ADG also, I believe.
Oh.
Or at least it was something like that. So yeah. I also realized like 20 minutes ago when I was looking at everything that I should have had Raph, your art director, on here too, because I'm friends with him, and now I look like an asshole that I didn't.
I was thinking that too.
So maybe we save the talk of the show for Raph, and I ask you about you guys instead, and just maybe, how did you get into this? I mean, why did you want to do this?
Oh, wow. Well, I was an art student. And I thought then I was going to go from art into architecture, and that didn't happen because architecture is hard.
Yeah,
And-
I went for architecture too. I couldn't do the physics. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I had gone halfway through my college education, and I hadn't taken the right classes. And they're like, yeah, you need to go back, and now you need to take structural, statistics and all these things. And I'm like, okay, cancel that. And a professor in the design department in Madison said, I was working on a show doing props, and he goes, hey, you can draw. Do you want to take a design class? And I'm like, sure. And so I took a design class, and then the next year he said, okay, you got a main stage show. And I'm like, I guess I'm designing. So it was like a Sam Shepard play, and then he goes, you should go to grad school. And so I went to NYU for grad school.
Well, who's paying for that, buddy? That's a good idea, but
Well, yeah, I mean, it was cheaper back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I had to call my parents and go, my professor wants me to go to grad school, and they're like, oh, okay. Where? And I'm like, New York University. And like, okay. They didn't like the idea of New York.
Was it the design program?
Design, yeah. It was
for film and
the
TV
3-year.
or for theater?
It's both. Like you would take opera design, set design. Art direction professor at the time was Steve Hendrickson.
Oh wow.
We did all of the above, and it was the 3-year program, and got out of that, and I worked on Broadway for 10 years.
Wow.
Doing Broadway show, associate designer, yeah.
Was that an easy transition into then going into the live events, because you were already designing for live pieces?
I guess, yes. Because I was designing all the theater stuff, and then Roy Christopher, production designer, who did, Frasier and Murphy Brown and Wings and all those shows, did the Tony Awards. And he came to New York and was looking for an art director to art direct the Tony Awards, somebody who knew theater. And that was, I got hired. And we probably did 4 Tony Awards. And that, every year he would come to town and he would go, you should really come to LA. You should come to LA. You should do this in LA. You would really work a lot in LA. And I'm like, no, I'm a theater guy. And then, like in 97, after the last time, I worked with him on the show, and he goes, you should really come to LA. And I said, I was talking with Nancy, and I think we're going to come to LA. And he's like, yes. And so I flew to LA and was the art director on the Oscars, like later that week. So, like,
isn't that crazy? Did you grow up watching? I never missed the Oscars. I think once in my life, I was on my honeymoon, I missed the Oscars. As good or bad, I've never not watched the Oscars and sat there, like, in my, was that blowing your mind?
It was kind of crazy, yeah. And we had to design the Oscars once in my art direction class. And I thought, when would I ever get to do this? This is not ever going to be a thing I'm going to do.
Did you pull out your old project and be like, oh, look, it's already done?
It was so horrible. It was so bad. I did it in all Memphis Modern. You remember in the 1980s, there was Memphis Modern, all the geometric shapes and bright colors. I don't know what I was thinking.
It'd be cool now.
It might
you could throw that back. Throw it in now.
Just a little fresh history tour.
Yeah,
True.
So that's the live thing kind of came through that, and then doing the Oscars and the Emmys and all that. And then Roy one day said, hey, you want to do a sitcom pilot? And I'm like, yeah. And then we did Titus. And so he production designed it, and then he said, just so you know, if this gets picked up, I'm not doing it. You're doing it. So, and I went, that's great. And that ran for 2.5 years. So
You did 52 episodes of it.
Yeah. It was great. And it was, I had no idea. I'm designing, but I had never done a sitcom before. So it was all learning, it was like right in the fire. And they didn't have a basic set. You put everything new on stage every week.
Wow.
Sometimes you would design a set and they would go, that one's going to come back. And you're like, okay. And then, but the next week you do a giant snow mountain on stage or a giant bridge that somebody's.
So they didn't have like a living room. Like, did they have their basic, like their home base?
But it didn't stay up.
Wow.
Maybe it didn't play every week. It was just something strange every week, or maybe they go to the dad's house, and so you'd have to. So maybe there was 3 sets that would.
Well, that's kind of fun.
It was great. It was a ton of work, but I didn't know it.
Right.
I didn't know that it was different. It's like it was just what it was, and so Fox was producing it, and the construction guy was just like, "This is crazy. We're doing so many sets," and I'm like, "I don't write them. I don't write. Just look at the script."
Who was it? Tiny or Goyer? Who we were?
Tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Was it Tiny?
Yeah, it was Tiny. But, he pulled it off because he had, 150 guys working on, 8 shows. And
it's a
so
business.
If we had a giant set, suddenly there would be all these guys that show up and they would get it done.
I'd have to say, I think the same thing about Bones. Like, my first, real decorating job is like,
oh, yeah.
How did someone let me decorate that show? We were doing plane crashes and real trains being turned over and exploded hotel rooms. It was like the best decorating school, but for real. But yeah. I always think I don't know how lucky I am, man. That was I learned so much on that. But yeah. It's,
they throw you in there and you have to, so
yeah.
That's how I learned. And I think it got nominated for Emmy. We did not win the Emmy, but we did get an Art Directors Guild Award for that. So for Titus.
I really can't keep track of all of your awards. I gotta look back again. I mean.
No.
10 and 10. No, 5 and 5. What did you say?
5 and 5. It must have been nominated. I don't see. I wrote down how many you were nominated, but then I only put the winners on here. And then I was like, oh, I should have went. But,
looking IMDb?
Yeah.
Oh.
On IMDb.
You're so clever.
Anyway, it was a really fun show, and it was crazy. And, it was, and I still have people come up to me and go, oh, I love that. But it's usually like a transpo guy or like some carpenter somewhere. And I asked Roy once. I asked him at some awards thing. I go, have you watched Titus? What do you think? And he goes, oh, I can't stand that show. He said the guy is just angry and yelling at the screen. And he goes, when I come home, I can't watch that.
I think I caught a couple episodes because he was a comedian, and so it was like you want to see how it transitioned. Well, Raph is joining us, if that's okay.
Raph.
Should we let him in?
Sure.
Ding dong, Raph is here. He's connecting. What perfect timing. Hey, Raph.
Hi.
Hi.
There you are.
How's it going?
Good.
Excellent.
I started this off by saying I feel like a complete asshole because I invited these two onto the podcast and then didn't think to invite you, and I'm friends with you.
I know. You're such an asshole.
I know. And then I didn't think to include you just now. They did. I was just gonna keep going, and then they were like, "Should we call him?" I was like, "Oh yeah, let's get him on board." We were just we started to talk about how we were going to get in. We didn't talk about live yet because we wanted to wait for you. But I just was asking Steve how he got in, and now I'm wondering how Jerie got into this whole world.
Well, I'll be brief. I was kind of similar. I went to college in Vermont, in Bennington College, and I studied theater design. And I was into theater before I got to college, and I worked with this crazy lady Meredith Monk, who was an amazing improvisational kind of icon. And I worked with her as a kid. I took theater games classes, and I toured with her, and they went on a tour to Europe, and they took me along when I was 15. I didn't know.
Oh my God.
And so when I got to college, that was my thing, and I ended up finding an amazing mentor, Tony Carruthers, who was my teacher there. There were 4 design students in this college of 600 with a big theater department. So I got to do lots of plays every year, and I was a set designer. And then when my mother was an antique dealer, and in New York City, and when so she used to rent to set decorators all the time. And so when I actually graduated, she took some decorator to hire me as a PA on a movie in New York. And I did it, and I was blown away. I was like, okay, there's no turning back. And I stayed in New York about 6 months after college, trying to kind of connect to something, and nothing happened. And I moved to California and literally started working. I mean, New Yorker coming to California with New York energy. Yeah. Everything was so laid back in LA. I did very well. And I started by doing American Film Institute, and I started set decorating right away on second year projects. And I did 3 of them in a row in this 1 year, and then some producer from that, one of the student producers, invited me to do my first paid job, which was in Washington. So they actually took me on the road, and gave me I think I made $45. It was amazing, but it was an amazing experience. It was a period piece, and then I was hooked, and then I just started working from there.
Well, wait. Was Washington eating Raoul?
No. The Washington was a film called Ritzville, and it took place in this town. And it took place in this town in Washington, right the year the volcano erupted.
Oh,
And
fun.
so it was amazing. I mean, I was there. I mean, I probably will die of a young age with all the, whatever. But we were there when Mount St. Helens erupted, and the entire town was covered in volcanic ash, and it just looked like it was snowing, and but it was
Good lighting, probably.
Yeah, we had antique cars everywhere that were just completely covered in dust. And, yeah. So.
I need to ask you about Eating Raoul, though.
I love that movie.
I love that movie.
I love that movie.
So Eating Raoul was done in like 6 weekends. Like the
I believe that.
who was show it was. He was also the star, but it was his script and his whatever. I think he's died since. Would put together enough money for a weekend. And so I just was like always helping out and doing whatever. And I was very new. I had no idea what I was doing. And, once again, and we just did, they go, okay, we're here, make it look like this. And so we just, with no budget, we'd empty out our houses or move things around or empty out his house or, just kind of shop from who's ever, it was very put together. Very
yeah. I mean, it's one of those movies I probably wasn't allowed to watch, but still watched when I was very young, and it always has stuck with me. And now it's on TCM.
Oh, I gotta look at it. I haven't seen it since then.
It's on TCM, but you also, you went right into film, which you did like 4 or 5 movies a year. I don't even know how you slept. It looks like
it was a lot because what happened was I hooked up with an art director named production designer Joe Jerie, who's actually the head of American Film Institute, the art direction department now. But and him and this art director Patrick Tagliaferro, the 3 of us became this team, and we just were very popular in the non-union thing, and we just went from job to job to job.
A Zoom thing.
It was amazing. It was really fun. Yeah, we just got hired a lot, and but we couldn't crack the union to save our lives. So it was 11 years of non-union.
Oh, wow. Isn't that bullshit? You're sitting there working, you're doing the same job.
I was kind of anti, like, fuck them if they don't want me.
True. I'm with you.
But now that
you probably made more money.
Well, I mean, now that I want to return a few years, I only have 25 years instead of, 36 or whatever however they come up with the number or whatever. But anyways, yeah.
I'm gonna get back to a couple of your classics that you worked on because I need to know. But you wanna go, Raph? There
Sorry,
you go.
my set designer was saying goodbye.
It's all right.
He was leaving for the night, so I'm still at work. So
First of all, it's 4:30. Where's he going?
I know exactly. I was in before him this morning as well.
Mm-hmm. What brought you over here? Were you working in Ireland?
Yeah. So what happened was I used to work in the real world. I used to work as a graphic designer, and I was trying to get into the movie business. And Roger Corman, you know who Roger Corman is, obviously, got a bunch of money from the Irish government to set up a studio in Ireland. So I got contacted by some random guy who got a job as a prop master on a Roger Corman movie, and he was looking for someone to do graphics, like do fake newspapers and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I'll totally do that. Love to do that. Knew who Roger Corman was, obviously. Seen a bunch of his B-movie horror stuff, so this sounded great. So I got hired on to do that, and they all loved me. And about a week later, the prop master guy said, "Hey, I'm quitting this show. This is bullshit. Do you want to be the prop master?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure, okay." So, and then someone was saying to me, "Well, if you're working for Roger Corman, like, just never say no. Just say, yeah, Roger, I can figure it out." Yeah. So, that's how you do it. So I started doing it. We were making these god awful, like, low budget horror movies in Ireland, and we were doing martial arts movies, and we're supposed to be sort of Dublin. So it was supposed to be like New York, but it's like it's the west coast of Ireland, and we had to make it look like New York or whatever. So that was fun. So I learned a bunch of stuff from that. So I was doing props, and I wanted to do art direction, production design as well there. So I was getting little bits on Roger Corman movies. You know, we would design some stuff. Roger would say, "Hey, I bought the stock footage of this spaceship, going into an asteroid or whatever. And we got to build a spaceship that kind of looks like this and the interior and stuff." So I did some of that, but there was a lot of American production designers coming over, working at his studio in Ireland. And they were like, "Raf, you'd be great. You should go to LA. You'd love, you'd get on really well there." So I ended up coming out here to LA, and I got a job as an on-set dresser on a really bad gangster rap movie in like 1997. And I was working, just got here on a Saturday. I was working on a Tuesday. And, once again, it was a situation where everyone started quitting the movie. And the prop master quit and said, "Hey, would you want to be the new prop master?" So once again, I got promoted to prop master. So I kind of sort of felt my way through the business. And then I'd worked on so many low-budget Roger Corman movies. I was, well able to work on the indie movies in the 90s here. And then I kind of segued into bigger movies later on, and bigger TV shows. So, and then, got into the union as an art director. And the rest is history, as they say. 25 years later, I'm still here.
Isn't it crazy how I don't know about you, but I basically live my life of that was Bones season 6. That was Park season 4 when I met you, or you don't even think of crazy years anymore. You just think of that was that season. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working at it's called Las Palmas Studios now, but it used to be called Hollywood Center Studios, off Santa Monica. And I was walking around on the stage, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was here 20 years ago, 2001, doing a horrible MTV show, and I was trying to find my old office, and I couldn't find it. But it's just, I was like, "Oh my God, I've been here so long."
And that's where we did the first season of Titus.
Oh, really?
At that studio.
Bringing it around.
Okay. Bring it around. I may be sitting in your office, Steve.
Yeah, you might be, actually.
They haven't updated anything. It's still the same. It's still the same office.
It's a fresh coat of paint.
That was Coppola's studio too, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Maybe.
I think so.
I thought Oprah Winfrey owned it now. Does Oprah Winfrey own that?
Oh,
that was the WB, the lot that she turned into Harpo or something, I believe.
Oh, I thought that was that same one.
That one up near Formosa Bar?
Yeah.
That
one. Yeah. I'm up the street from that, though. I'm off Las Palmas and Santa Monica.
So how did you three get together for a live from a studio audience?
Well, gosh,
Steve, how'd you corral these two crazies?
I'd worked with both of them before, but separately. I'd worked with Jerie on Cool Kids and some pilots, right? Cool Kids, yeah.
Cool Kids is a really good. I wanted to talk about that. I mean, that cast and how funny it was.
It was great. We loved it.
I mean, insurance-wise, I don't know how anybody could insure that show with all those great actors being that old, but I mean, it's a really funny show. I don't know if people should check that out.
It was great, and the cast was great, and then their guest stars would be great too, because it was all these, 60, 70, 80-year-old guest stars, and it's still puzzling why that didn't go any longer. I think it was the whole Fox changing hands.
One season it went? 22 episodes.
Season,
yeah.
One full season, so 22.
22, yeah.
22.
I know.
It was great. And then I did a show with Raph. We've been talking a lot. I would, every now and then, he would send me something, or, "Hey, what do you got?" And it would never time out. And then there was a pilot that Jerie worked on called United We Fall, and I didn't work on it. And then I got the series, and I called Raph, and I was doing another show at the same time, and so I was going to be running 2 art departments, and I called Raph, and he could do it. So Raph and I did United We Fall, and then this show came up once again, kind of out of the blue. I got a call one day from Bernie Visca, who had done the first two versions of this,
Right.
with All in the Family and the Jeffersons and Good Times, and he said, "Hey, this new version, this Live 3 is coming up, and I can't do it because I'm booked. I'm booked, and I can't be driving from Radford to Sony." And so I just called John Spector at Sony and said, "Hey, I can't do it, but you should call Steve Olson." And I had just sent John Spector like my resume and said, "Hey, I'm available," like 2 days earlier.
Look at that.
And so he called me up and he goes, "Hey, good timing.
Yeah.
Want to do a show?"
Timing's everything.
And I'm like, I immediately thought of Jerie and Raph to do it, just because I've just been working with them, and we started right away. I think Jerie was finishing up a project. Raph and I started almost right away from home. Working from home, because it started so fast they didn't even have offices for us yet.
And how much prep do you have on this before the shoot date?
Well, the shoot was December
Jerie got
7th,
2 days,
so
and you guys got 8 weeks.
We got 10 weeks. Come on.
It was a long time before shoot, but they were building within 2 weeks. Construction started 2 weeks from the day we started.
Yeah, we were still drawing plans, and they were starting to draw.
Now,
we hadn't even got approval, right? We had to on certain things. And
it was kind of crazy because there really wasn't it wasn't structured like a sitcom is structured, or like any kind of TV show is structured. Yeah. We just got hired and started designing, and at some point, we brought in the construction guy, and we go like, "Here's the drawings. We need to throw some estimates at this." And then we sent them the estimates, and they were really high. The director didn't come in for quite a while after that. Jimmy Burrows, I think we sat down with a plan and a Zoom meeting and kind of talked about just the positioning of things. But,
did you have the original plans?
We found, not right away, but we did find through Sony, through Sandra at Sony, she found some of the original elevations of Diff'rent Strokes, and she found the original plans and elevations of I think it was the third season of The Facts of Life, but we ended up not doing that season. We did a different season with a different set, and she did not have the drawings for that. So that one we had to sort of generate from pictures. We did both of these from photos because the plans were pretty kind of sketchy. They were nice, but hand drawn, kind of loose, and we had to figure out a lot of stuff from photographs, and just sort of what is that detail, what is that molding, what is that column.
Yeah. I mean, Jerie, how many episodes did you have to watch to go back and look at furniture and just say, the hell with it, I'm using this chair?
Well, what's interesting, Steve did an amazing job before I got there of really screen grabbing. There was like an encyclopedia of screen grabs. It was amazing. And he kept sending me information. And I think I only watched like 3 episodes of one and like a couple of the other, like not hundreds.
Right.
Because they changed so much season to season that I then got confused. Do you know what I mean? Because like the sets really change, the next season, or and some of them, I have to say, I don't know, Steve would probably agree, and Raph, that some of them look really like seat of their pants kind of sets.
Right.
And you were like, how do we take this and like elevate it but keep it true to itself? But like, I think you know better, Steve. It wasn't there like outside of one of the windows was like a blue sheet.
There was some really sketchy stuff.
Yeah,
some of the photos. Yeah.
We had to kind of dumb down our thinking in spots just to kind of like figure out what they were doing. I suppose it was very kind of, a lot of it was stock sets and stuff they used, right, Steve?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that designer was known for doing a lot of heavy molding. He was like the molding king. He would do so much molding, and you could see that in Diff'rent Strokes. He just really went to town with that. but so I think they built for what we did. Those were all original sets like that. Facts of Life cafeteria that was built specifically for that show. But it was baffling sometimes because you'd see the bedroom door open and then there was backstage, like they forgot to put a wall in or something.
Return.
Yeah, it was something. It was sketchy.
So,
and I think that they also would move the sets in and out. They had 2 sitcoms on a soundstage, and they would alternate days, but then they would move these sets in and out, and they got really banged up.
Right.
And you could see it on camera, and so obviously we were trying to make everything look as good.
No
as
on-set painters back then. No one to help out.
I think they were painting in a dark soundstage because sometimes things look like they didn't match. And
was there a discussion with the directors of I want to keep the same angle for this shot, or did you have to alter the design of the balls?
No. In fact, Jimmy Burrows would not watch any of the shows. He would read the script, and that was what he honored, was the script. But he had new actors, different actors. He had to explore it all.
I like that. I go for that. I like that too, because I don't want to be influenced by things.
So we just did everything as much as really tall sets. They were 20 feet tall in the main room, or 18 feet tall. The kitchen was 18 feet tall. It had a spiral staircase in it. So and we didn't know what he was going to shoot. If he was going to have them come down the spiral staircase, there was going to be a shot up. So we had to do some ceilings, and it was pretty big sets. The other show was a little bit more straightforward. Sitcom, they kind of started in the one room, and they went into this room, and then they came back into this room, and then there was sort of a finish. And that was more about character and sort of the plot.
Jerie, do you think you found any of the original pieces over there at Warner Brothers or anything? Like, or the sconces?
Every so often we came on things that were so close.
Yeah.
We were like, oh my God. Like somebody, I think one of the people, in the prop house at Sony came running out with like an olive oil bottle that they had made the graphics, and he was absolutely sure it was from our, made for our show. So of course we put it in, but
God,
it was
fantastic.
but, just for kind of. But the one thing that I felt like the hardest part for me was that the set for Diff'rent Strokes, like the furniture was so mismatched. All the furniture, some had white finishes, some had gold, some were natural wood, and like I just was like, they were odd mixes,
right?
And so that was my biggest dilemma. Like, do I get it all there and then get the painter to tie it all together? Like, I just was. It was the thing I worried the most about, and in the end, it worked out perfectly. It
worked out great.
Yeah, because you had the tones. I mean, you had all of the palette was so good, and then the fixtures. I know that the sconces really came out to me, and the moldings and that staircase, and like. I actually want to sidebar, like, why wasn't I invited to this if Boyz II Men was going to be there? Because that, to me, I was like, can I download their version? I need to listen to this. I love Boyz II Men.
Yeah, that was pretty wild, yeah.
Yeah, that was actually amazing. I was on stage when they were rehearsing. And they were just...
they're amazing. I've seen them twice.
They were
pros.
Making it up, and they had all those backing singers, and they were just there with the pianos. And they got all the lyrics for the songs from Diff'rent Strokes and stuff, and they were working it all out. It was pretty cool.
I think I was too old because I didn't really remember Boyz II Men, and it wasn't like a big deal to me. And I remember
the 90s, Jerie. You weren't that. It was the 90s.
I mean, I was asleep or stoned or something. I don't know. It just wasn't my thing. I don't know, but like, it was weird because I remember walking down like one of the streets in Sony with the on-set dresser, and I was saying, okay, this is what's happening, and this is in it, and aren't we excited, and we're so happy to be there. And then I mentioned Boyz II Men, and he was like, oh my God, that's like the biggest deal in like the whole fucking world. And I was like, I was like, I don't even know who they are.
I didn't know I was going to be delighted that way until they said singing the theme song, and then I got super like, oh my god, this is fantastic, this is perfect. Whoever thought of that should get every award.
And it was great. They used the set really nicely. They did
yeah,
on the staircase.
yeah.
We put the majority of the budget was in that living room, and it was the shortest scene of the whole night. It was maybe.
But that one sticks out to me the most, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I mean, that and the bed. I'm going to assume that you made the bed.
We had to build the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I couldn't figure out is, number one, am I being duped? Is this really live? Number two, since I'm assuming this is live, is this are these all these sets on one stage, or are you switching it out?
It was live.
Right.
It was all on one stage. It started at, what was it, 5:30? 5:30, something like that. And the Facts of Life was down at the right-hand side of the stage. We did run out of stage space, but we just had to kind of bend the sets into the camera aisle. And, but we did squeeze them together. I mean, what they said, at Sony was like, no one's going to know if that set is 4 feet smaller. Except that when you try to put all the actors and the furniture in, the furniture knows.
Right.
Because, but anyway, so we did squeeze it as much as possible. We were fire lane to fire lane. Yeah. And it was all in front of an audience, and it was all live. So there's maybe 220 something people in the audience. And there was like, what did they say, like 10 cameras?
There was like 9 cameras on the floor, and they had a jib because, it's like an unusual multicam. You have like 3 or 4 cameras. And then for this, because it was a live show, they wanted to just keep moving right along. So they had 9 cameras. So the camera guys would just jump over on the other cameras. So the camera aisle was pretty packed. And we made a bigger camera aisle, didn't we? We
did, 20
feet. We had to accommodate Norman Lear's
boss
booth as well.
So that, just to explain, the camera aisle you're talking about is so that the cameras can move back and forth to get the shots. It's between the audience and the set. It's like a run. It's almost like a street of like cameras moving back and forth.
In a normal multicam, you would have A, B, C, and X camera. But in this situation, we had 9 cameras, so we had 5 more cameras and a jib as well on top of that for the live aspect of it. Because they would cut to a commercial break and they do that wide live shot with the jib, seeing all the audience in this thing. So we had to kind of work out all that as well with the live guys. So it was.
There's a lot of people in that aisle.
Yeah.
There's dozens of people working in that.
Doesn't sound very COVID.
That's interesting. Everybody was masked. The actors obviously weren't. And I don't remember any cases of COVID coming up. But at the live show, so they did the whole live show, and then it was all like invited audience. It was all studio bigwigs and network people and agents and things like that. And then they went into the big main set to do a photo shoot with Norman and Jimmy Burrows and all the actors and everything. And then everybody from the audience came into that set. So it's like 200 people in that set, mostly unmasked. It was frightening.
I would have ran.
It was like 2 days before we heard about Omicron. Like 2 days later, it was
Super Spreader. It was Super Spreader TV show.
If Omicron was invited to that audience, it would have been over, but thankfully not.
So
I don't think I heard any.
Nothing came
out. But 2 weeks later, everybody did when you were done. But so let me ask Raph, from construction point to shoot date, what was your timeline there? Like when did you hand the set over to Jerie on time?
I think we were right up to we were construction. I think we were about 5 weeks of construction. And then we laid the floors right at the end. I think we were still painting the set when Jerie was putting her furniture in there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like touch-up paint. And it had been painted. It was just sort of let's go a little further, right, Steve? It was
Then we actually had painting a lot of the furniture that came in.
Yeah.
Or some of it, painting some of the furniture and the little cupids that went in the niches.
Oh, yeah.
Were just rentals, but they were fantastic.
And then they were hand painted.
Hand painted, yeah.
And Jerie, how many days did you have to dress?
I'm terrible at these things. I think I can't remember. I think we took a Saturday, right, Steve? Did we get?
Yeah, it was right after Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Yeah. You had about 4 or 5 days, I think, overall.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean,
you were like working with us because it was so tight.
Let me just say that there was never clean time because the lighting department was coming in as well. So, that we would do, at some point we took the morning shift and they took the afternoon shift, but it was very harmonious. I gotta say, it was the nicest bunch of people, from lighting to grip to like construction. Like everybody was just friendly and was like, okay, lighting would go in the bedroom while I was doing something.
Right.
We just kind of negotiated.
Yeah,
it was very
great.
pleasant.
You're right. It was fantastic. Yeah.
And I don't remember having unless we took a Saturday to just have a clean day with nobody.
Yeah.
I think we did take a Saturday.
Yeah,
to have
and we lost a day as well because originally we were supposed to go out live on the 8th of December, and then for some reason it got switched to the 7th, so we lost a day as well on that. Yeah.
The other thing I was seeing in the credits is how many actor producers there are on that show. Did anyone try to give you input that, or was it just, we know what we're doing, we've hired great people, you should go do it? Or was Jimmy Kimmel giving
Never.
Noasking about a chair?
It was the best setup ever. I don't think we ever got any notes.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think it was also a weird thing because it was being run by a bunch of live people who do variety shows and stuff like that. So there was never any kind of we never had a run through or anything like you would have in a multicam, and there was never really any major notes. It was always just make sure they have enough room for their wardrobe, or their changing rooms back here. That's all they were concerned about. There was never any, we hate that wallpaper, or you got to change this or something. There was never
That's
anything.
awesome.
Just let us do. They were like, well, we don't really deal with art departments usually, so we just do live shows. So you guys do your thing.
They kept saying, didn't they keep saying, we're used to crepe paper and tape,
They used
that's
to
the kind of art department we're used to.
Yeah. Fake scenery, and we spent weeks building that house with all of the staircase newels and the curved railings, and all of that is just built, and it takes time, and columns and platforms and staircases and all the molding on all the doors. I mean, every single door was built and had staff molding on it, and just so much. I think they walked through on one day, and I think they were just a little kind of blown away by the scope of it.
That's fantastic.
They just didn't come back. Just get it done.
That is fantastic.
Just be ready. So we were,
Yeah, for me, I only had one change, and it was a rehearsal situation where it had nothing to do with the set look, but John Lithgow is really tall. And at the point that he pulls out the desk chair and sits in the desk chair, it was really low. It wasn't, I don't know, it seemed, the scale seemed like to me at the time, it worked with the set.
Right.
But he sat so low that he couldn't get up easy. So we got another chair, we put some extra foam, that was the only note, and it was actor driven.
I actually I was going to ask you about that chair. Where did you get that chair? It's so 80s perfect, clunky, designed, but simple.
Which one are you talking about? The desk?
The desk chair, Arnold's desk chair.
Oh, I was talking about in the Diff'rent Strokes in the actual main room.
Jerie, tell her about those chairs.
Tell me about the chairs.
I fucking stressed so much about those chairs. I was like,
they're perfect.
There's no way I'm finding these. And I started bringing in things from IKEA that we could cut, modify, and maybe make a thing. What could we? And one of the buyers jumped on eBay. And in about an hour and a half of really searching, she found two of the chairs.
Exact. exact match.
Like and like and they were, it wasn't a lot of money. I mean, I think maybe it was. We were talked about building the chairs. I mean, they were so iconic to the scene. And the same thing with the guy.
The wooden guy, the wooden guy.
Oh, the man with the train hat.
Yeah, with the little train hat and the little handkerchief. I mean, I thought to myself, "Oh, we're building this for sure." And the buyer found it as well.
Who was your buyer?
What is her name?
Chelsea Mondelli.
What's her last name? Yeah, Mondelli. Chelsea Mondelli.
Nice.
Amazing. She was great. And Amy Strong was there for a couple of days.
I love Amy.
What happened was we were coming from another show.
Right.
So I had two buyers on the pilot, and I was able to move one over. So she worked before we even started, even though she's getting on the other side.
We all do it.
And so she really got us going, and then Amy filled in, and then we were down to just the one because we really didn't have the budget for two.
That's fantastic. I was obsessed with the chair. I paused it and I was like, they had to have built that. They had to have built that chair. It's so perfect.
And it was so sturdy too. Like, it was really a sturdy chair. Those are big guys. And
they were big.
Out in the chair.
Yeah, they were jumping on them. Yeah. I was a little worried because at one point he's slamming it into the ground.
Yeah.
At a point, I'm like,
don't break it.
Have one. Don't break it.
Don't break it.
It was funny because when the man arrived, the wooden man arrived. Technically, it's a table. He folds so his arms and legs make it a little
cute
for a kid's room. And but apparently, whatever house he was in, they were huge smokers.
Oh.
And I mean, Roger had to my lead man aired that chair out for like 7 days. I mean, it was so pungent and smelled like he was blown away. He couldn't believe it. He never, but it's wood. It wasn't fabric.
Oh, it gets in there. You're never getting it out. I mean, you must have, well, if you had Snoop Dogg around, it probably didn't matter.
Have a new smell. Yeah. We got so lucky on both of those things. I was really
bravo for that search and that. I mean, wonderful find. I've watched it. I watched it when it aired, and then I rewatched it this week. I think of all of them that I've seen, I think the Diff'rent Strokes, and then the All in the Family, I think are the best to me. But the Diff'rent Strokes, because I didn't watch All in the Family, but the Diff'rent Strokes, to me, I was like, oh my God, Arnold's hat is there, and it's goldfish, and like, I just loved it. I just loved it.
You know what you didn't see, which was I thought was amazing? The rehearsals for the shows. I guess how many days? I don't remember how many days, Steve. I
think they rehearsed 2 or 3 days, and then they started running it. So maybe they did a full 4 or 5 days of rehearsal before they had a live show.
It was like a different show up until the live.
Oh, every time.
It was, in my opinion, it was much better in rehearsal. Because what happened is, as soon as it went live that night, this is just my opinion, the actors went like over the top goofy. They pushed it that they had never pushed. Did either of you guys think that?
I think they kind of developed because there were, the scripts, they had the same thing in the rehearsing over and over and over. And I think we ended up doing a rehearsed version that was going to go out. We taped it, and if there was any major problems, like someone fell down the stairs and they couldn't go out live, they had it in the can that they could air this pre-taped version. So I think by that stage, the actors were probably, they were kind of playing with different versions of the way they deliver the lines, the jokes.
I think Kevin Hart was, I mean, I don't know that genius casting him that, but him being a shorter man worked. And the facial hair didn't bother me at all. I believed he was like an 8-year-old boy.
I think that he was the nucleus for the Diff'rent Strokes one of doing, with Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. It was all about, because for like 2 years he was trying to play Arnold,
Oh my God.
And then COVID hit and everything, so it was always, that was what kept it alive, was he really wanted to play Arnold.
And have any of you done anything else with Norman Lear?
I haven't, but maybe Steve has.
No. I mean, it's mind-blowing that he's 99 years old, right? I mean, it's...
And he was sharp as a tack, and funny, and spry.
Yeah.
And like at one time he was sitting by himself, in between waiting for something, he was sitting down, he was all by himself, and I went over and I knew someone that he knew from like 50 years ago, like a professor at my college. He has a house where I went to college, and he was friends with this professor, and I brought this guy up, and his face lit up, and he remembered everything, and he was so like delighted that I stopped over. He wasn't precious, or he was just so kind and sweet, and
so
happy
nice.
happy to have the 5-minute chat about an old friend. It was very sweet. I thought it was great.
Oh, that's so nice. I mean, it's amazing the volume of television that he produced that was good.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous, really. I mean, you could talk about like an Aaron Spelling or something, but not a lot of that was good. Norman Lear, it's like when you go back and watch Maude, and you're like, that could air today. That should air today, but probably won't.
That might air. I mean,
Yeah.
that they're talking about maybe doing that next.
What?
Really fun. And what else?
Can
Golden Girls.
wait? Did you say shush? Like I shouldn't I should edit that out? Just let me know.
Oh, no. I'm not sure. I think that's what they're talking about. I think it's being tossed out there that they're talking about Golden Girls or Maude or Sanford and Son. These are all shows that were, I think Maude was directly Norman Lear, but then some of the others were, like these two shows were under his production company. But,
I'd do anything to do Sanford and Son.
Oh my God.
That would be fantastic.
That would be my dream. That would be fabulous.
And then you just have to figure out on Maude, you'd have just like who's going to do that.
But that's a big staircase too, if I'm correct, right? Didn't she have a big staircase in her living room? Or am I wrong? No.
She had a. I don't know how big it was, but it was.
That was her main.
Prominent in the set.
Yeah. God.
Kimberly, I wanted to give a shout out to Steve and Raph about something. They created the wallpaper and
nice.
created linoleum to match. I mean, I was blown away with how beautiful the details were and how much they worked on colors and sizes, and it was very, very impressive, I have to say.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
Good job, guys.
The linoleum, the 70s linoleum in the kitchen was like, I went around to all the places, the local vendors looking for something like this, and they were all like, you're high. Like, nobody had that in their house anymore. Why do you want it? I was like, it's for a TV show. It's in the 70s. I was driving out to like Silmar to places and everything, and going to sketchy places in Hollywood, and I was like, I don't even want to park my car here and go and ask these guys have they got some 70s linoleum. So eventually we were like, I was talking to Steve, and I said, listen, we can't find this anywhere. Let's just design it and make it. Let's have Dangling Carrot or Trio or someone do it. So we got our graphic designer 80 to do different designs and everything, and it just turned out excellent. We were able to control it, and I was terrified. I was like, when I said to Steve, I was like, let's do this, and then I was like, oh my God, what if I've got this wrong? What's he going to say? And we, because we had to get the angles right and everything of the pattern and everything. We worked it out, and it looked amazing, Steve, didn't it?
It looked fantastic, yeah. And we're matching something that they used, and we don't know what made them choose that linoleum in the first place, because it was very bizarre.
Yeah.
But so now we're going through all of this torture and ordeal to copy it as much as as close as we can, and it looked great. So in the end, but that was a really wild, bizarre kitchen. Like,
is
the biggest I've ever made.
I didn't look this up, and I should have done a little bit more homework. Is the original designer still around? I asked that because I don't know why I don't do this, and it's a weird thing. If I take over a show, I never seem to ask the past decorator unless I'm very close with them. Like, hey, where'd you get that? Or what's up with that? Like, was there a thought like, oh, should we reach out if we're having such a hard time, or do you just like...
We did early on, and actually Bernie had tried reaching out to him, and to no avail. He didn't get a response. And I reached out to the art director, who's also retired, and he got back to me and we chatted. He said, I have nothing on that show. I kept nothing. Good luck.
Yeah. There was Chuck Murawski.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
And
that's
Don Roberts did it in the later years. And then Chuck was also an art director. And Dal DeLu
was working when I started. He was still working when I started, and he had done Cheers and some other shows, and we had interacted back in the in the late '90s, and then he retired sometime after that, and I did call him or email with him.
Oh wow.
And but yeah, he had saved nothing.
Yeah.
From the show.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't know why it's more of like I can do this on my own, or like I get like, no, I can do this, or they don't want to be bothered if they didn't. I don't know. I don't usually ask help from previous decorators if I take over a show. I think it's my own like weirdness of like, I don't want to bother them, or I don't know. That's just me. But I think with something like this where they're celebrating it so much that if they had any recollection of anything, I'm sure that they would be helpful in that, in helping.
I know that our producers made it a point to make sure that, because Chuck Murawski designed both shows. He was the original art director, production designer of both shows, and so they made a credit that credited him with original production design or original art direction, however it was stated, Chuck Murawski. So not to be confused with, they did want to list him as an art director of this show.
Right.
But he got a credit for original art direction.
Now, do we want to talk who you're up against? Do we want to?
Who are we up against?
Yeah.
Oh man. You're
it's
up against American Express Unstaged with Zia. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Is that? I think it's a commercial, a variety special. American Express Unstaged.
There's a variety special. There's a comedy special.
Jim Gaffigan comedy special.
Yeah,
you guys. Savage Xfinity Show, and then Yearly Departed, which is a show, which I don't. So I unfortunately, yours is the only one I'm seeing, and if I could vote.
Yearly Departed, the one. Which one is the? That's the one with what's that actor's name?
What, the Xfinity one?
No, the Yearly Departed.
Oh, Yearly Departed is. Oh, who's in it?
No, I was.
It's like a stand-up thing or something, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking it was the one. I can't think of his name right now.
I don't know what it is. It was on Amazon.
We'll have to win. I mean, we just win.
You just have to win. Oh, the
Go tell all your friends.
Savage Xfinity thing, I think, is something Rihanna. I mean, it's always hard because only art directors and production, only you guys are voting. Right. So you've no one to blame but yourself.
But I think, Steve, can't we, the set designers and graphic designers, don't they get it?
Yeah, they can all vote.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
anyone in the ADG. It's no,
right.
There's no outsiders. It's not like the Emmys where every other year or whatever, like, the cinematographers will vote in our category, or, it's just you guys.
Right.
Yeah. It's just you guys that gave Steve 5 wins. Well, I think
how many ADG awards have you won, Steve?
5.
We already went through this round.
5.
Oh, okay. I won 5 Emmys, but I wasn't sure what ADG was.
5 and 5. He's got pairs.
And 21 nominations.
Yeah, I mean 752 nominations, and some wins there. But yeah, and I'm assuming it's in person this year, right?
In person, yeah.
Really?
Like get the tux out. See
When
if I
is
can
it?
fit in it.
It's March 5th.
Yeah.
Saturday night, March 5th.
I wasn't nominated, so I won't be there. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, it's a
So
bummer.
Jerie, you gotta go get a dress. Remember last time?
No, not possible. A dress?
You don't have to wear a dress. You can wear a pantsuit.
You can wear whatever you want, Jerie. Just make sure you don't trip when you get up to the stage. That's all you gotta be worried about.
He was sharp last time. Dressed sharp.
I feel like I think I was there.
Thing. Yeah.
What was that for? Well,
that was Cool Kids.
Oh, that was Cool Kids. Yep. Yeah, I remember. It was
hey,
fun.
I gotta, Kim, just randomly, with the ADG Awards, is James Connolly still doing the red carpet thing? Or
I don't know, but I've tried to get that gig. I've tried to tell him that I would be a good co-host, and he's not going for it. I don't know.
I would be great. That would be really fantastic.
I would love to.
You should try and get on that with him.
His friend is a comedian or whatever. He does it with her. I wonder. I bet he's still doing it. I don't know if anybody has to go. I'm always grateful for any minutes you gave me. But I gotta ask Jerie about moving violations and Once Bitten and like the Patty Hearst, like all these movies that Hot Shots.
And no one's seen.
What do you mean? Are you kidding me? Hot Shots Part 2? Are you kidding me? Everyone has seen and Hot Shots. You did. I mean,
Weekend at Bernie's.
And I didn't scroll. I know I'm getting that. Weekend at Bernie's is probably the biggest one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but
how was it working on these films? Like, did you know Jim Carrey was going to be huge? Did you make friends with him?
No, we had no idea. That was a really fun movie to do, actually. Really, really fun. And
Laura Hutton. I mean, wow.
It was fabulous.
Caskets.
And it was fun, and it was, they were all medium sized, but not terribly low budgets, but low. I mean, they were all non-union films that just hit.
Weekend at Bernie's was non-union.
Oh yeah, no, that one I can't remember. I think it was union.
Not 89.
I can't remember. And it went 88.
It came out in 89. I saw that in the theater twice. I'm proud of it. I might still have my ticket stub.
We built that house with the pool and all the walkways.
Really?
We built and it was at a state park, and we had to take everything out, including like every nail. Like it was in a private reserve place, on a beach. I remember there was a problem because the turtles it was like turtle hatching time or something, and so the movie lights at night, the turtles were getting confused. These baby turtles, and they were going towards the lights.
Bernie killed turtles.
They shut us down.
No way.
They shut us down for a few days while these, turtles were all hatching or something.
I kind of agree with that. I don't know. I feel bad.
Yeah, it's fine. We did something else.
Yeah. And I mean,
I the best set I ever worked on was in Moving Violations. I didn't think anybody saw it, but it was a tree. It was an apartment, but there was a giant tree that was going through it, so it was kind of like a treehouse set. And it was just, it was magical to work on. I mean, I really fell in love with set decorating at that point. There was no turning back. You know what I mean? I mean, I really liked it from the beginning, but it's still maybe one of my favorite sets I ever worked on.
And it was a good experience, and it was like, was it
differently, somewhere easier than others.
No. So then you turned to multicam, and then you're multicam queen for like forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it had to do with having a munchkin.
Yeah.
And trying to work a more stable kind of a life. So and it was really hard to. I mean, it was so funny because I remember Bob Strohmeyer gave me my first job on what was it called?
That's Life? Living with Fran?
No, it was That's Life.
That's Life.
And it was Alfred Molino, and Betty White was in that. And I had to beg him, because they thought, oh, well, you can't do sitcom. You're not a sitcom decorator. And I'm like, excuse me? I've done everything. What are you talking about? What can't I do? And I really didn't understand until I got it. And then I realized there really is a rhythm and but once you get the rhythm, I mean, anybody, if you can decorate, you can do it multicam. You just,
Well, it's hard. I mean,
I don't think I can do anything but a multicam because nobody wants me because they think I can only do multicam.
Well, that's the problem. That people say, oh, you've only done TV, you can't do movies. TV's harder. Shit changes every day. You got one script to go for like 5 months. I'm in. I'm working on something. Exactly. I don't know what's shooting tomorrow.
Let me check my email at midnight to see what changes there is.
Yeah. What am I waking up to in the morning? I mean, you got to be kidding me. You can't handle the money. We spend so much money now on TV. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think there's such, as you said, like a rhythm to multicam that I guess all of you can attest to, of like, you get a script. I would think maybe you get a little heads up. I mean, I'm sure with How I Met Your Mother, you were doing shoots not in front of the audience that would air. I mean, had you done...
Nothing was in front of an audience.
Oh.
On How I Met Your Mother, yeah. It was all just block and shoot. And we removed the bleachers and used the whole stage for sets. So that's why there was so many sets. And then we would change out.
I thought some of it was pre-taped and you've shot in front of an audience.
No.
I'm so dumb.
We would shoot out 3 or 4 sets on a Wednesday and then change it over on a Thursday, go out shoot on the back lot at Fox, and then on Friday come in and shoot all new sets, and then somewhere in there we would shoot the basics. And so but yeah, they would give us a heads up usually if there was something crazy coming, but usually we'd get a script and we'd just have to hustle.
You get like a week. You get basically like 5 working days.
Yeah.
To
and it was a rhythm. You got into a rhythm, and that was great with Susan, because after you get into the second or third season, you're just thinking the same.
Yeah.
It's all shorthand, and you just kind of understand, and we would just fly. It was just flying. It was great. There was really nothing like it. There was so much support from the writers, and they would just, we'd read the script and then we'd build the sets, and there was never any, we were thinking it was more like this. Never. It was just great. And the same with the networks. Like, they would come and they would give notes to everybody, but I would kind of be waiting there for notes, and they would walk by, and I'm like,
no notes is good notes.
Yeah, that's what she said. She says, listen, you don't want notes.
Yeah.
You're doing great, You're not getting notes because there aren't notes. So that was unlike anything.
And I think the bar has been raised because of shows like How I Met Your Mother, where, absolutely. I mean, Jerie, I think you could say, like, you used to not have a buyer, or used to not be able to, like, now there's more sets to get done in 1 week. There's more demand. They're going here, they're going there, to make it more realistic and competitive with single camera half-hour shows, or just 1 hour, anything, just to level everything up.
There was a lot of blame going on while Mother was happening. The other shows were saying, you guys have to stop what you're doing. It's too much. There's too many sets.
Yeah.
It's making it hard for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And, but...
I certainly felt that as a set decorator. It's
yeah.
like, it was, like and also what I didn't like about the show, I mean, I liked the show a lot, and the sets were great. But what it did was it invited the world to have these 2-minute scenes. Like, it was a scene, a scene. It's like, does anybody have an attention span anymore? And it was sort of like it gave way to the okay to have no attention span. It kind of fed the, and that's what bothered me, just because it's like, can't we just sit on a couch and tell a funny story?
Drink some coffee, sit on the couch.
No.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
Not anymore.
None of us are sitting on a couch anymore.
But just so you know, Susan Eschbach did not have a buyer.
No, but she had a driver. She told me once, I choose a driver over a buyer, and I was like, you're bold. But yeah, I mean, all the credit goes to her. That's amazing.
She was really amazing. There was a never-ending energy. I mean, I don't think I ever saw her really exhausted. She was just flying the whole time, and she had a great lead man.
Ron Schulam,
and he's
right?
the one, Ron, he's the one who interfaced with the producer all the time, and Susan would too, but it was just so much stuff. I can't even, trucks for days.
Yeah.
They had a huge staff and like trucks coming and going constantly, and
just scheduling the labor, because you'd finish and then you'd have to load out all these sets because the next morning or by midnight, new sets were coming in. Just,
logistics of that. Yeah, and I mean, a testament is, I mean, winning is one thing. Winning twice for the same show, I think, is very hard. 4 times, get out of here. Get out of here.
That's what they said.
It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. We were lucky.
Kimberly and I are like, why don't you guys just isn't 4 enough?
Yeah. But
Could you just sit one out, Susan?
Yeah.
But
I've asked. I've had conversations like, where are they? Where are your like, what are you doing with it's fantastic. And I think a conversation that Jerie and I have had many times is the ebb and flow of awards for the work of multicam, and it should be recognized. And I think the ADG, separates that category. You have your own category. You're recognizing this type of show, and the Emmys don't have that. And I think that's a real downfall. I think at this point it needs to be
recognized. It won't come back now either because they've just changed the rules. It's not the rule of 14 anymore. It's the rule of 27. So you have to get 27 shows in a category in order to have your own category. Wow. It used to be 14. If you have more than 14 submissions, you can have your own category. Wow. Now it's 27. I just want to go back and just say Richard Walker decorated the pilot of How I Met Your Mother.
Of How I Met Your Mother? He's a gem.
Richard, yes.
We love Richard.
Because I had
he's a gem.
Kind of worked, I don't want to say exclusively with Richard, but we did quite a few shows leading up to How I Met Your Mother, and then we did 2 shows that season, How I Met Your Mother and Hot Properties, and I wanted Richard to do both, and they were at different studios, so that wasn't going to work out, but we got the studios to agree to let him do that, and 44 to agree, everybody agreed, and he got offered a 1-hour show, and he took it.
Bastard. 208 episodes of How I Met Your Mother. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Something like 1,200 sets.
1,200, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them repeated, so there was thousands of sets, right?
Yes, that's individual sets. That's not sets prep. That's individual sets.
I wanted to bring it back for a second to live, because the thing is that we all worked so hard to get these sets done, right? And it was very disconcerting after the live event that there wasn't a series of 10 following it.
You did all this work for a oneer.
It was kind of it was sad because we all fell in love with the work and with the sets, and we were it was such a great experience in a team, and it was like they're tearing it down.
Yeah.
There was there wasn't 10 more episodes,
And it was so cool to work on something where you were recreating something from the past.
Yeah.
Trying to do it exactly right. That's, because every day, like you're designing a, police station or, a restaurant or something, but to be able to design something that's, something from the past that it's an iconic thing. I was talking to the actors and they were just like, this is just amazing. It looks so good. We're just blown away, it helps them.
It helps them. It definitely helps them. They're in that mode. They're in that mindset. They walk in that stage and they're there. Like, it definitely lends to it. Yeah. No, I mean, it was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I probably would watch it again. I mean, it's cute. I'd watch it again for Boys to Men. I know that. I do want to ask Raph I got to ask you about Biggest Loser.
Oh my God. Okay.
I watched so many seasons of Biggest Loser. I don't know when I gave up finally, but when you have to design the challenges and everything, do you get this is what we're going to do this season, or is it hey, in 2 days we want these people to jump on a huge seesaw?
Literally, it would be spitballing all those ideas, and usually what happened was at the beginning of the season you had you know, oh, 20 contestants, and they're all totally out of shape. So it was always like, well, we got to design something that, hey, whoever makes it to the top of the stairs wins the competition,
Right.
this week, whatever. And then as it went on, there'd be less and less people, and they're getting more and more fit. And like literally, by the end of it, when we came to the last few episodes of the season, these guys were like super fit, and they were. You really have to, think hard. It's like, okay, well, we got them, to abseil down a canyon now or something like that, So it was always some kind of craziness like that we'd have to do. So we would always have to kind of work out with they had a whole games department, and they would come up with some, whacked idea. And then, hey, we've also got like a product placement from Krispy Kreme. So we've got to incorporate that into the whole thing as well.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. So we'd always have to like deal with that. So.
God. But was it fun or was it sad?
No, it was fun. It was definitely good. It was always kind of sad at the beginning when you see them all trying so hard.
Yeah.
But then it was always fun when they get through it and stuff. And at the end, it was, was like, well, I hope they win, because they've worked so hard on this or whatever.
I loved it. I loved it when I watched it. I loved it.
Yeah,
I found it inspiring. I know that there's like kickback on the show and everything, and I think it's canceled, but I really liked it. I mean, unfortunately, I think they made those people go a little too far, but it made for good TV, and they're all alive. It's not like the Housewives where people are killing themselves. But you also did you recreate anything for Saved by the Bell? The new one?
We did. We did a lot of work on that because we had to basically they wanted the old cast and the new cast together, obviously. So the thing was, it was supposed to be the same high school from 1988 to 92. But it was also, it was 30 years later, and Mario Lopez is now like the coach at the school. And, so we had no plans or anything from the original show. And the original show was also like a multicam. It was set up that there was no fourth wall. So we had to invent a new design for the whole thing. So they really wanted the Max Diner, which was, the place where all the kids hung out back in the day. And it's got a very 80s look to it. It's got that
the
Memphis
neon and
design.
like the glass block and...
Yeah, and then it's got the Memphis design style, which is all that colors and the shapes and stuff. So that was like very iconic. So we had to go back in and we looked at so many episodes of screen grabs, and basically we kind of worked out the floor plan of the original set. And then it was like, well, we need a fourth wall. So we built the whole kitchen area, which they never went into in the original show. So yeah, it was a lot of work to get it all right because we had to go through so many approvals with the NBC and the execs and everything to get this, but once we built it and we copied, the VCT tile on the ground exactly right, we got the door heights right, we got everything correct, and when the original cast walked in there, Mark Paul Gosner and Mario and all those guys, and Tiffany Amber, they were like, this is like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like,
that's
this is
awesome.
Like we were back in 1988, so it was great to do that. And then we also did the stairway, the original stairway from Saved by the Bell, which always came down. We built that in, and we used that as the anchor point for building out the rest of the school from that, the corridors off that. So it starts off as that, and we kind of transitioned the walls and the VCT tiles on the ground into a more contemporary 21st century design. But we always had that area, so they would walk through it, or they would start there, and then they would end up in this super modern cafeteria or whatever. So it was a great callback. Everybody loved that as well. So
no, bravo. From what I've seen of it, I mean, I scanned the first episode just to like have a recall, and I was like, oh, look what they did. That's so cool. And I'm sure
it was great.
I have to be sure that the actors appreciated that so much, and the younger crew walking into that and probably feeling hopefully a lot of pressure to keep it.
No, the younger crew loved it as well, and it was funny because we had like a payphone in the Max Diner, and they were like, "Oh, check it out, man! It's a
Yeah,
payphone."
I know, right?
They're like,
I miss
this, and they're
phones.
playing with it, and it's like, yeah, oh wow, this is so cool.
What do
Are you
you
picked up for another season?
We haven't heard yet, so we'll see.
What are you working on, Raph? We decided the three of us aren't working. What are you working on?
Oh, I'm working on a Shonda Rhimes show called Station 19 about
Ooh.
firefighters.
Oh,
ABC, yeah. So
very nice.
I just started about 2 weeks ago. They're near the end of the season. I just came in. There were only like 3 or 4 episodes left, so
Nice.
filling in for a little while on the end. So yeah,
That
it's
is-
an hour-long show.
That is a nice thing about being an art director. You can hop around. It's like being a buyer.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Gotta pay the
nice.
bills.
It's kind of nice. I mean, you can step in and you step in. Here I am. Let's finish this up, everybody. New
what's
energy.
Yeah. What do we need to do? What do we need to fix? Who do I need to talk to in the mill?
Yeah. Tiny, apparently. Is Tiny still working? I've met him once, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I hear he told me that he wants to retire in a year, but I don't really believe it.
Oh well.
He does Mythic Quest too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's doing Mythic Quest now, and then he does It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
And then
So-
whatever else.
How many seasons can that show go, Jerie? How many times?
Up for 3 more.
Shut up.
Oh.
We just did 15, and it's picked up for 3 more.
So what I've always heard from you when we're talking about when you're on that show is, it's kind of a mess because we're like block shooting this episode and we're cross shooting like 4 episodes. Like, it sounds like they make it a lot harder than it should be shooting wise.
This last year was really hard because they want to keep the directors together, but this time it got really screwed up. It was hard this year.
Yeah.
It was hard, but it was only 8 episodes, and I think there was 4 blocks. Used to do 10, and we'd do 5 and 5 with a week off in between. This time we did 8 episodes, and there was no time off, and every 2 weeks the director changed every 2 episodes, but then they never finished, and directors came back and things got redone, and they had the same producer for all the seasons, and he retired during COVID, so there was a new producer, and he had to put his mark on it. He was lovely, but
Forget Tom's
LaFaro.
LaFaro. I did a pilot and he was on it. It was very nice, I thought, way back when. But yeah. Oh, here, I could see that retiring. But I mean, that show just won't die.
It won't. Yeah. My son loves it. It's on all the time.
It's on.
It's on all the time. Yeah.
I used to watch it a lot. What bothered me was, and they're from Philly, they didn't have the Philly accent. That it's always bothered me.
Is there a Philly accent?
No, not really. I mean, if they're not all. Maybe Rob has it a little
Are
bit.
you from Philly?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it bothers me. That and the Goldbergs, it really bothers me that kid doesn't. He has like a Midwest accent, and it's Philly. But anyway, whatever.
Pet peeve, huh?
Yeah. So when you win the ADG award,
Yes.
don't forget to thank me. No, I do.
Thank you, and then Norman Lear.
Yes, please, if anything, put me above Norman. Would you do it again?
Oh yeah.
Love to.
Yeah.
Love to do it. Love to do the Golden Girls or something like that as well.
It
Oh
was
my
great.
God.
Yeah.
They
was-
were such nice people.
Such a great crew. It was like just a fantastic construction crew.
Yeah, they were
Damon
great.
Height, and it was all the Goldbergs construction crew
Oh, nice.
doing it. They were fantastic, and they loved doing it. So they just had such a great attitude, and really, they just jumping in and they just loved, looking at all the photographs and trying to match the molding and, what does this new post look like? Is that what
Yeah, when you spark excitement in a construction crew, you know you've won.
Yeah.
There's something going on, yeah. And I don't know if it was the show, or if it was us, but if it was Raph, might have just been Raph.
Probably Raph.
I used to go down there on a unicycle and juggle every day. And they were like, "Yes, we love this."
Oh my God,
It was
that's
great.
awesome.
I would do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I've held you for way long. So you go eat dinner And Raph can probably leave work now.
Yeah, I get stuck in traffic. I'm gonna drive home.
Oh yeah, it's the perfect time to leave now, Raph.
Yeah. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
You don't have to floor with the set designer.
You should. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. And
Okay, thank
but
you.
I just want to bow down for a second to Jerie Kelter, who has been a complete friend and inspiration for my young decorating days, and just so nice and so honest. And it's so rare to find someone who's not gonna bullshit you. And Jerie, in a very kind way, doesn't bullshit you, where I don't have that trait, but Jerie does. So I
really enjoy our friendship.
I do love a Jerie Kelter, I must say. So thank you.
As we all do.
Yes.
We all do.
That's very sweet of you.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna put this up on Monday. Wasn't that fun? See that? It was like a little party. It was fun. I've only done like big groups a couple times, and it's hard because you want to give everybody fair time, and everyone has such good stories. But yeah, I really should have Jerie on again, though. I think I totally blew it by not asking her about Body of Evidence with Madonna. Totally blew that, and expanding more on Weekend at Bernie's. I need to hear more. I don't know. She has so many things I want to hear about. Multi-camera, which is what these three mostly work on, is a very specific in the way you design. And like you heard them talk about the camera lane, or all the sets being in a row facing the audience, it takes a special design of the angles and specific decorating to get all of these characters' information into these main sets. So I really love their work and how they've all been able to do that. So good luck to them at the ADG Awards. Again, voting ends March 3rd, and the ceremony is on March 5th. I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Walla for Decorating Pages. Need a smoking hot Valentine's Day gift? Yeah, you do. Give your lover a Stogie Floaty luxury pool float and float in style. Available now on Etsy and stogiefloaty.com.